Meeting is called to order.
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey have been satisfied by an annual notice, including the date, time, and place of this meeting, posted in the first floor main lobby of the Pitkin Education Center of Bergen Community College, was mailed to the record in the Ridgewood News, and filed with the clerk of the County of Bergen, January 2018. Roll call. Joseph A. Barretto.
Here.
Dorothy Blakesley.
Here.
Gerard Carroll.
Here.
James Demetrakis.
Here.
Patrick Fletcher.
Here.
Mark Longo.
Here.
Carol Otis.
Here.
Irene Ujo. Shatal Ranjan.
Here.
Peter Zalakostas is absent this evening. Joseph Zara is absent.
Pledge of allegiance. Flag of the United States of America. Vice Chairman report.
Yes, Madam Chair, this past month, I had the opportunity to go to the county address, as well as I went to the play The Chairs, which was a unique experience, a two-people play. I thought it was very interesting. I also attended the closing celebration for the Black History Month here. It was a very nice event, a little too long, but Dr. Daniels and Mr. McKnight did a fantastic job. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Okay, and the chairs was kind of funny. Secretary, Scott?
Oh, that's not me.
No, I'm sorry, you. You're in the wrong place, for the other place.
Good afternoon,
Jim.
everyone. I too was able to attend the closing ceremony for the Black History Month, and it was wonderfully attended. And the presentations were beautiful, and the food was amazing, and the sweet potato pie was the best. I took 3 of them home, I'm just saying. And
I didn't mean that.
I also went to the event that they had at the county building
Yeah.
at One Bergen Plaza, and it was a wonderful presentation made with a lot of historical facts, and that was also very well attended. So the event, I thank Dr. Daniels for putting them together and just putting on a wonderful display for everybody to be a part of. Thank you.
He's very good. Treasurer?
Yes.
There you are.
Again, the event, the Black History Month dinner was beautifully attended. The costumes were gorgeous, and learned a few things. So it was really well worth going to. The Audit and Finance Committee did meet about 10 days ago, and had a very full schedule, and we will be presenting Audit and Finance AF 1 through 13.
The event was very nice. Make sure the board realizes this is Women's History Month, so there are lots of events this month too. One of the things I thought that worked so well about Black History Month was there was a lot of community involvement, and also, if you notice, a lot of involvement from different segments of the college. It made it special, I think. So a very good job. I have a really important announcement that everyone needs to pay very close attention to. It has lots of consequence. Tomorrow's a snow day. So don't come into work.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're closing for tomorrow because of the snow.
There's snow coming?
It's hard to believe, but today, I wasn't aware of it, right? You know, we've already announced it, it's gone out on the website.
6 to 12 inches, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And then Peter Zolakostas, our alumni trustee, he wanted to come tonight, but it was a choice between this and doing well on his midterms. And I told him we all
bless him.
understood that the midterms came first, so
Yep.
I think he appreciates that. We have 2 different presentations tonight. But first, I want to ask Larry Levinka to tell us a little bit about some upcoming events that really matter to the institution.
Thank you, Mr. President. And yes, all of those notifications about the snow day have gone out, so enjoy the day, folks. So first, April 12th, the President has talked quite a bit about this open house on steroids, and that's exactly what has been crafted. There will be a community day for Bergen Community College on April 12th. During that day, our elected officials from the federal, state, county, and municipal level will be invited to campus for a legislative lunch at noon. The Board of Trustees is also invited to that event. This will provide an excellent opportunity for us to network and really understand what our elected officials are trying to achieve in office and what the college might be able to help them in their goals. After that, from 3 to 7 p.m. is a community day, really an open house for prospective students, for their parents, and really, again, presenting an opportunity for our community to come on campus and experience all that the college has to offer. We are supporting that through a major ad campaign. You've probably seen our billboards and our ads that are out on buses and movie theaters and malls. We are going all out for this open house because this is an opportunity, again, to show off what Bergen has to offer. There will be workshops, there will be demonstrations led by faculty, our drone program will be flying through the air, so this will be a really terrific opportunity to come and see what Bergen has to offer. So that's April 12th, that's the open house, and then 1 week later is the big fundraiser, the big money maker where we need all of your help in order to support student scholarships. The 50th anniversary gala will take place April 19th at the Venetian in Garfield from 6 to 10 p.m. I am happy to report that we already have 73 attendees through tickets and sponsorships and all of that. So this is a hot ticket in Bergen County, as you can see, and we're getting some great help from the trustees. We're getting great help from members of the foundation board. But of course, we could always use more. And remember, every dollar that is going to come in, whether it's through the gala or the 50 for 50 that many of you have contributed to, is going to go directly to student scholarships. So we hope to see you there. There will be a band, there will be an alumnus playing the harp at the beginning in our cocktail hour. We have prizes from the Jets, the Giants, the Yankees, MetLife Stadium, the PGA Tour, Lord & Taylor, Hilton, just to name a few. So it's going to be a terrific night, and I hope to see all of you there. And then finally, an event that not necessarily everyone is going to be attending, but it's a special one because this is about our founders from 1968 to 1978. Fred Golub, Sidney Birnbach, and Steve Fisher, all faculty here at the college, are organizing what they're calling the Founding Fathers Dinner. And they have invited all of the employees that were hired in those first 10 years of the college's existence to a dinner to reflect and have an opportunity to get together, and that's 1 week after the gala on April 25th. Again, that is a fundraiser event. They will be raising money for scholarships. So the 50th anniversary is in full swing. That is to say nothing of all of the Women's History Month events that will be taking place this month that I'm sure we will see you at. But this has been a really exciting time for Bergen, and thank you for being a part of it.
A lot of people are working on planning this. Most of the work, I think, is being done as part of the 50th Anniversary Steering Committee. So Larry and Virginia Laughlin, our former Executive Vice President, are the co-chairs of that. Our board chair has been particularly active in planning the Venetian, so I really appreciate all the help and effort. I think also on the 12th, I believe we're bringing in the guidance counselors in the afternoon to wine and dine. So that's a new thing for us at Bergen. So we hope to get a lot of mileage out of that event. So we have a brief presentation tonight on assessment in the library. We have an excellent library. We do surveys every year, and the library always comes out at the very top, or close to the top, maybe the very top in terms of student satisfaction. So we wanted to let you know some of the things that they're doing and how they're assessing their work.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Redmond. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us this afternoon. I'm Gail Fernandez, and I'm the Interim Dean of Assessment and an Associate Professor of ESL. I want to thank you for allowing the Center for Institutional Effectiveness to highlight and share our colleagues' exemplary assessment work. Last summer, we do a meta-analysis every year. Dr. Kim, the assessment fellows, and myself reviewed all the assessment reports, and as usual, as Dr. Redmond just said, the library comes out on top. And we were very impressed by the scope and level of the detail of the work that the library does. They really take assessment as it should be for continuous improvement of what we do. What we especially liked was that it was a joint project among all the librarians. They really share the information, they look for ways to make improvements, and it was very meaningful to them. Also, the work that they did this year is has a lot of meaning to the rest of the college as well, to the other academic departments. So I'm very pleased to introduce Professor Anne-Marie Brizello, who served as the assessment liaison, and she will go into a lot more detail about the project. So thank you very much for letting us come this afternoon.
Thank you for letting me present to you this afternoon. This is our 2-year project. Our question was, what do students think about their research abilities? And what we did was we surveyed our students when they came in for library instruction for Writing 101. We gave a survey. The first few minutes, students were in the classroom about their time at Bergen, meaning were they brand new? Did they go through the EBS or the ALP program? And then what was their research experience in high school? And then I'll get on to the rest of the survey in the later parts of the presentation. So we ended up with 535 valid surveys. And in Writing 101, students are required to write a 5 to 7 page paper with 5 to 7 sources. So that is what those students were sitting there ready to have instruction on, is how to go about the research process for this paper. 76% of students wrote a research paper in high school, which means 24% did not. Only 30% of students had any experience with writing a paper with 5 or more sources. The numbers, as you have on your handout, show that the majority of the papers they did write had 3 to 4 sources, which means it becomes a little bit different process when you're trying to incorporate in 5 to 7 sources instead of 3 or 4, which is a pretty small number. So the first part of the survey was a scale of 1 to 5 stars that students gave themselves for the research process. This is a research model that we developed here at Bergen about 5 years ago based on Carol Kuthau's work and also the Big Six. So these are the steps in the research process. Some are done by us during library instruction, and some are done within the English composition classes. So students have a lot of confidence at the beginning of the process in choosing a topic, narrowing a topic, but then you can see how things drop off. That's common. It's well proven that that's common. You go in with lots of confidence and things start to go awry. But what's interesting is the level of confidence students who have never written a research paper or have only written a short paper or a paper incorporating few sources have. So what we see is, like for citing sources, our students that have been here and gone through EBS or ALP are more confident, same with choosing a topic. Incorporating sources is actually the next slide, which is the last set of questions we asked students. So this is an interesting set of questions. We asked students about incorporating sources. Theoretically, incorporating books, articles, or websites should all get the same star rating, because incorporating sources is a process. It is not unique to the source. However, the results showed that students overwhelmingly thought that they were really good with websites, giving themselves mostly 4 and 5 stars, and relatively weak on incorporating books into their research papers, which is the bottom set of blocks. If this was a perfect model, what we would have seen is the numbers would have been similar for our books, our articles, and for our websites. So the last element of our research project that we actually just finished is probably the most telling. So what we did was we sent to the faculty members who participated in this process a list of students who their surveys were validated, meaning we could match their surveys to what computer they were at and to their answers. And then we asked for their papers. Faculty sent us an A paper, a B paper, and a C paper that they graded. And there you have the results. The most confidence got the lowest grades. So it's basically the Dunning-Kruger effect, that you don't know what you don't know. What we have to do in the library is focus more on scholarly sources. There was some confusion there of what exactly does that even mean, why to use them and how to use them. But the third bullet is the most important, is giving students some coping mechanisms when they need to recover from missteps. So we've already talked about this in the library. How are we going to accomplish this? And we definitely need to discuss more of teaching methods where students have high confidence and they really need the information we're giving them, but they're not open necessarily to receiving that information. So that, in a nutshell, is our research project. We only had 28 papers that we looked at, but we did have 535 surveys, so there's a small discrepancy there between the number of papers and the number of surveys.
Questions, comments?
Everyone's good?
Are you finding that the students are receptive to assistance in, their editing? And when you said, I think you used the term miss a few steps along the way, are they receptive to that? And then do you find that then they incorporate that into their future work?
What we find is when they're in library instruction, they may not be overly receptive, but then they'll come to the reference desk later. So they are realizing, I might not have gotten everything, let me go get some help. Yeah.
And I think it's when they actually have to write the paper. So there's usually a library orientation with different interest levels in the orientation, but when they actually have an assignment, the interest peaks.
Yeah.
Thank you. We also have tonight our budget presentation for the upcoming FY 2019 budget year. I'm going to ask Victor Anaya, as our Executive Director of Finance, to lead us through the presentation. I think, Maria, the board members have copies of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
In their packet?
Good evening. Budget presentation, as you open your packets, there's a 3-year comparison of revenue and expenses summarized for tuition and fees, state funding, county funding, as well as other sources of funding, offset by our expenditures by program. Included in those expenditures are salary, wages, and benefits. We have a line for what we pay principal and interest for our cost of Lyndhurst, as well as the Child Development Center. And then we present also the funding for financial aid, federal funding and state funding, as well as grants, as revenue coming in and revenue going out in itself. So our total budget of $156 million is presented. It's been down this year in comparison, largely because of enrollment and increased expenses. Year to year, there's a 2.5% decrease in revenue and expenses that's summarized on this page. The next page is also a summary, but of our revenues, and within each caption, you can see the type of activity that goes in these lines. Tuition waivers, student fees, state funding, county funding, others, New Jersey counties for chargeback revenues, the different funding that we get from off-site rental of our facilities, as well as various funding sources. And then the estimated revenues that we have for our federal and state programs. This year, this slide is a 43-year comparison of where we started from. By statute, the state is supposed to, and also the county, are supposed to fund the college by 33%. In the early years, we were there, but of course, things have changed as revenues have tightened up by all, in this case, by the county as well. But as you can see, as our revenues increase due to enrollment increases over the past 43 years, our more especially in the past 5 years, our percentage of our total budget from county funding has been consistent, and we've been increasing. There was a dip 10 years ago, but the county has restored our funding. But it's interesting that even though by 33% funding, that the county is only able to fund us for 19% of our total budget. And the similar situation with state funding as well. Early years starting off at 33 in that ballpark, and as our total budget increased, the state funding based on FTEs, based on a formula how they allocate funding across the state to the community colleges, we've been consistently for the past 5 years 10 to 11% overall. Our relative funding for the state has been flat year to year in the past few years. And then in tuition and fees, 72 million is our projected tuition and fee out of our total revenue at 67%. That has been consistent for the past 4 or 5 years, but as you can see, as we were smaller, the tuition fees from our total budget actually was a lower percentage, and increased over the years as our enrollment increased. Again, this is just a 43-year spread that we have on this information. And again, this is a chart pretty much representing what I just recently shared with you, and just to see from data points how the revenue in state and county and tuition and fees have overall changed year to year. As they've grown and decreased and increased as our total expenditures have increased. This slide is a summary of our expenditures. For the total operating budget of $108 million, you can see what type of expenses go into the different program lines that are on this slide. The common expenditures that are in each of the lines is related to salary and wages and benefits, and those type of contractual amounts that we would have are included. Consistently, the percentages by each program have stayed relatively within the same ballpark over the years. But again, the overall budget is compared to our overall spending and revenue that we get in. This is a pie chart of how that looks. It's just a picture always makes it easy to understand. So this is a pie chart of our expenditures by the different program areas and the type of expenses that are incurred in those areas. Our total expenditures, the biggest piece of our total expenditures is salary and wages and benefits. And you can see that out of our total budget, salaries have hovered around 60%. Our benefits have increased as salaries have decreased a little bit, just because health care coverage have increased, pension amounts have helped facilitate, not help, but have caused the benefit percentages to go up. So our average salary and wages and benefits is down compared to the previous year, but it hovers around 80%, 79%, and the rest of the expenditures are 21%, 20%. And that, of course, the percentages go up and down based on our overall expenses and our overall budget, how it goes up and down as well. But as you can see, the type of benefits, the type of expenses that are in these lines for other expenditures are displayed here. And again, this is another pie chart showing how salaries takes up the majority of our budget, as well as the benefits. The type of salaries that are coded, these are the breakdown of the, summarizing the majority of the type of salaries that are in the different program lines, starting from the administrative all the way down to students. Some of these are contractual as well, but this is what flows through our budget. Other expenditures, these make up the variety of different of our type of expenses that we have in our budget. Most of these are in the institutional line. That covers the global aspect of the college, but every program line item, including academics, will have some of these expenditures. Excuse me for a second, I've been fighting a cold for the past day or two, so. Therefore, we've proposed an increase to tuition of 1.5% next year to help us balance the budget. It is one of the lowest that we've had in past 5 years. If you look at the past almost 15 years, you can see where we increased it 5%, 8%, and then we've been trying to keep tuition increases at a minimum in order to facilitate the operations of the college. Our next slide is every year we get funding from the county, and this is for our capital initiatives, either construction or also mostly for IT lifecycle initiatives. That's been consistent for the past 5 years at $1.5 million. Earlier years, I guess when the county had available funds for bonding, they gave us more money for projects and lifecycle and so forth. I included a slide here for Chapter 12 funding. Chapter 12 funding is authorized by the state, and it's for construction projects. And I guess within the past 5 years, a majority of the Chapter 12 funding assisted us with the health professions building that was built. We're due to get $8.1 million next year. We received the authorization for $4 million this previous year. The state has been increasing the amounts for it. And we would go through the county. We would pay for the bills and submit reimbursements to the county, and the county would get 50% back from the state. So they would reimburse us for the amounts that we submit. And in the past 2 years, the $4 million, the 8.1, those are funds that we anticipate using for the culinary expansion down in Hackensack. So we're fortunate that we're able to get more money from the state to help us fund that initiative that's planned. And then our last slide is our financial aid funding, where we have almost $20 million in Pell, TAG from the state, federal loans, our program with New Jersey Stars, our SEOG grants. We normally receive about 10,000 applications for financial aid, and we historically go from 6,000 to 7,000 as far as applications that are awarded, along with scholarships from the foundation to help students pay for their college education. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions for me? Hi.
Hi. So for your application received, you have 10,533 and awarded is 6,680. That is roughly 4,000 applications. What happens to them typically?
Well, it's a variety of different answers. Some of the students decided they didn't want to come here. Some of the students didn't fulfill their requirements for filling out the financial aid, whether it's the FAFSA or signing off on their promissory notes. All different reasons. So
when you say 2017 aid applications received, those are not necessarily completed applications?
No.
They're just started applications?
Correct.
Okay.
correct. Anybody else? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We had a session, we did a session earlier today at the college for people who might not be able to make the hike down here, so some people have already heard it. So that's my report.
Committees? Audit and Finance.
Audit and Finance recommends to the board AF1 through AF13.
Education and Student Affairs.
I would like to recommend approval of the Board Trustees minutes dated February 6, 2018, and the consent agenda dated March 6, 2018.
Personnel. Jim.
Personnel Committee met. I would like to advance P1 through 13 for approval by the trustees.
Site and Facilities. Jim.
Again, Site and Facilities is bringing forth tonight for the trustees to approve S1, which is self-explanatory. It's basically to appoint an architect for the preparation of plans for the bleachers located in the gym. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Strategic Planning Initiatives. Chantal.
Oh, our chairperson is not here. We met, we reviewed the goals and priorities and the document. There was a one-pager document. We discussed it. Those are amazing. We had some suggestions about how to add information in terms of tactical goals and aspirational goals to the strategic plan, so that would drive us more accurately towards our future. So we're working on that, and also to add some information about the community, the whole Bergen County that we come from. So all of that could be tied well together, plus we could advocate for more funds.
Thank you. Since the alumni trustee is taking exams, we will leave that alone. I also attended the Black History Month closing, and unfortunately I had to leave midway for a household emergency. I'm not going to say what it was.
It was funny.
But fortunately, there was no emergency. And I missed what I really went there for. I wanted to see all the things in the awards, especially since I had a friend who was receiving her husband's award from Teaneck, and I really was upset that I had to leave it. But it was wonderful. Thank you, Ursula and Mr. McKnight. The next thing I wanted to say, Chairs was absolutely funny. I enjoyed it very much. I won't give you the comment my husband made because he made everybody laugh. So I'm not saying it because we need to have some seriousness here. So there we go. Okay, we go down to unfinished business and board members.
Hi, I just want to, I wasn't at the Black History Month, and I apologize, it was just impossible on my schedule. But I do want to report that 3 of our Board of Trustees were at the National Legislative Summit of the Association of Community College Trustees from February 11th to 14th. 3 of us sit on 3 different national committees. I'm on the Diversity and Inclusion, Carol is on the Policy, and Gerard is the Education, something? Bylaws, right. I can report about what the Diversity Committee meeting, which was mandated that I attend if I am part of this national committee, spoke on issues about equity action agenda. They've created a guideline that community colleges could use, or should use rather, I would say, to look at every aspect of what we do from the perspective of equity. They also discussed the Missing Male initiative that's taking a lot of steam nationally in terms of diversity and inclusion, that the numbers don't really look good for men, and especially don't look good for men of color. So they're looking at it nationally, and they are, So the reason we have missing minority males specifically, they found a couple of reasons are that health, poverty, changes in the job, their aspirational goals have changed, health issues, and a huge number are also incarcerated. So these are some of the factors which the national agenda will start looking at it in terms of diversity and inclusion. Now that was the prelude to the actual National Legislative Summit. One of the things which runs, and I'm going to urge all my trustees here, there is a national survey for individual trustees, and I'm going to send you the link through Maria. Could you please take a minute to fill out that, because they need to know who are the trustees nationally. So I would look forward to that. Then in the summit itself, we had some very exciting speakers. I learned a lot, and I'm able to, connect with so many people across the country, presidents, trustees, learn from their institutions. We had Alexander Acosta, the U.S. Secretary of Labor, who spoke to us about the priorities from the U.S. Department of Labor. So for those of you who are working on issues of workforce development, that is really, it's a high priority issue for this administration. And which is not a bad thing, because we always like to scream about this administration, but this is actually one of the good things and benefits us. Besides that, we had Carol Doherty from the Pew Research Center. He spoke about he's a director of political research. He told us what the next political scene looks like using data. Interesting stuff. All I can tell you from that is please make sure you go out and vote. Don't sit home, okay? Whenever there is a chance for you to vote, exercise that right. We had Jake Tapper, the CNN correspondent. He said no tweeting, no taking videos, and he was absolutely open in how he spoke about everything. So that was interesting. We did have a workshop on training ourselves for the for the federal legislative priorities for community colleges. Very, very interesting. We were introduced to the Prosper Act and what's coming down. Some of the things that are coming down are really not good. They include risk sharing and, grants and how they will a bunch of things, but the good news is they are not very sure whether it will come onto the floor right now. But when it does, it's going to hit us really bad. So we really have to be prepared for that. And they did train us on how to advocate for this with our legislators and congressmen and all that. So armed with all that information, I visited Senator Menendez's office on DC on the Hill. I visited Senator Booker's office, along with a whole number of New Jersey college trustees and presidents, and Congressman Josh Gottheimer's office. It was very, very useful. I have only one suggestion for Bergen here. Next year, we do need to take a student or two along.
Absolutely.
It's very, very important. What we say is what we say. We don't tell the whole story. When students speak, it is really exciting. Senator Booker did come into his office, though he didn't have time for the entire meeting, and all he wanted to do was take a picture with the students in the room. And it wasn't. They were New Jersey students. They were exciting, and they were very bright, but I wish we had our Bergen students there. So for next year, please make a note. I do want to take either a student trustee or somebody from our student government. Whoever is listening, please, make sure that happens. That's all I have to report from NLS. Thank you.
Well, then I guess I got to tell you what Gerard and I did. We went to the House of Representatives, and we spoke to Alvio Cirrus, Frelinghuysen, and the last one was Pascal. The only one we actually saw was Frelinghuysen, and he is amazing. I mean, he is a Republican, but he really supports education to the top. So, just so you know. But unfortunately, he's retiring.
Yes.
So, and we're going to lose a really good supporter.
He's always been a friend.
Absolutely, and at community colleges, absolutely. So we really got an eyeful from him, and one of our presidents from one of the colleges, he's a president? Yes. He talked and talked and talked about Pascal, how he met him and all the things he did. Oh, yeah, well, we had to listen to that rather than discuss what we were doing. So I always carry the papers that we were given, so we knew what we were talking about. So I had several copies for each of our people we went to see. So I made sure each of them got copies of that because this talking went on forever, and the folders from county colleges. It was very, very interesting. I had a very nice time, but we were also excited because Stephen Colbert rode around the entire building on the third floor that we were on. We were on the third floor. And he was riding around on a little scooter, handing out flyers. I did not bring it with me because it's a little bit risque. Anyhow, he was the highlight of the day. I have pictures of him on my cell phone if you want to see them. But I have pictures of everybody. We took pictures.
Oh, yes, I wanted to actually send it to this computer so we could show you the three of us with the huge, beautiful DC screen, but then, that it was a selfie though. I took the selfie.
Yeah, she loves selfies, so we hire her to do it. And she does a good job with it. But we all had a great time. Everything was really
We
good.
learned a lot, and I think I want to pass it on over here. That's what I want to say.
And what I am going to give Dr. Redmond tonight is the risk sharing that hurts community colleges. I wrote this in every letter that I sent to the Congress people. And we have to fill out how much we paid for returning when students don't finish their programs, how much we return then, because it is it's going to be, we just won't have money to do that. So we have to fight this with all our heart. So here you go. It's got to be filled out and it's got to be sent in. I have a conference call once a month now because of this, and that's what we discussed on this time. So they sent me the flyer, I printed it out, and there we go. So hopefully, we can fight this. Everybody we spoke to was against it, so we'll see what happens. We don't like what they're doing to Pell Grants, with the surplus with the Pell Grants being taken away from us and being used for other things not related to students or grants. So we're fighting that too.
I just say, that's a good reason for the trustees to do their best to come to the legislative luncheon on April 12th, because you'll get to sit and have lunch with our legislative leaders here and make these points to them.
Yes. So you want to know more, I'll give you some paperwork and you can read them all, okay? All right, unfinished board business. Board members, I think we're doing that right now, right? Any more? No? Okay. New business board members. Okay. Open to the public. Anyone want to speak? They may speak at this time. Okay, we'll close that session and we'll go on to actions. A, approval of minutes from February 6, 2018.
I did.
Yeah, but we didn't do it.
We just had to vote on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I need a motion.
I'll move that.
Second.
I would say all in favor, but we'll have a roll call.
Joseph Barretto?
Yes.
Dorothy Blakesley?
Yes.
Gerard Carroll?
Yes.
James Demetrakis? Patrick Fletcher?
Yes.
Mark Longo?
Yes.
Carol Otis?
Yes.
Irene Ujo? Shatal Ranjan?
Yes.
Peter is not here. Joseph Sarah?
Yes.
Thank you.
Minutes are approved as read. Consent agenda, Tuesday, March 6, 2018. That's tonight. So may I have a motion? Patrick?
Second.
Thank you.
Chairwoman, I just want to let you know, I'm recusing myself for AF1 for the public record.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? Then Mark is recusing himself from that. If there is nothing else, then we will go ahead with the vote.
Joseph A. Barretto?
Yes.
Dorothy Blakesley?
Yes.
Gerard Carroll?
Yes.
James Demetrakis?
Yes.
Patrick Fletcher?
Yes.
Mark Longo?
Yes.
Carol Otis?
Yes.
Shatal Ranjan?
Yes.
Joseph Zara?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so the consent agenda has passed. We're not doing a session tonight, unless there's one being called. So we're going to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Second? Dottie, did you second that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.